not be able to tell from my finished version here that the motifs are all joined with crochet. Now, crocheting motifs together is one of my favourite things to do. You can absolutely sew them if you would like to, but I'd really love to show you how to do what's called a flat slip stitch seam. Oh, that's so tricky to say. You have no idea how many times I've tried to say that. Anyway, that's what we're going to do. It's a lot easier to do than it is to say, as with lots of things in crochet. So what we're going to do is join all of these motifs, and it's very much up to you which direction, how you want to work it. There are some that mean you have more ends, there are some versions that mean you have less ends. It really doesn't matter how you go about it, but it's a really lovely thing to do. Now, I have used the same colour, you see, colour A, to join them together, but I'm going to make a slightly smaller version that I've been working on throughout these videos, and I'm going to join them in a different colour just so that it stands out more and you'll be able to see where the stitches are. So go grab your finished motifs and lay them out, and what I would recommend you do is lay them out on a table somewhere and then take a picture. Take a picture of them laid out and decide, because I've obviously suggested how you lay them out in the actual pattern, but you can lay them out however you want to. You can put whichever colours next to each other that you'd like. So lay them out, decide how you would like them, and then I would then recommend do it all in one sitting if you possibly can. Sit at a table or a desk or somewhere nice and flat that you can reach across, and join each motif as you go and refer back to that picture if you get lost, because my goodness me, it's so easy to get lost, or I definitely do when I'm joining motifs. So go lay them out, take your picture, and then come back to me ready with your yarn. You obviously can join them in yarn A so that it disappears into the pattern as I have here, or you can use a different colour because there is enough within the yardage in the pattern to do that. Okay, so now we've got our motifs laid out as we would like them, we are ready to join all of these seams. Now, there are a few ways that you can join. You can obviously sew them together if you would like to, and you can use a mattress stitch, you can use a whip stitch, you can use whatever you would like. But my preferred method is to crochet them together, as I said. So I worked with my blanket, I worked all of these vertical joins together first, and then I joined the horizontal ones. You can do it the other way around, of course. You can go horizontally, or you could go diagonally. It's entirely up to you. So I would say maybe have a couple of motifs, just have a go with them and see what feels right for you, and then go for it with the entire blanket. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to start here down at the bottom. I'm shoving it as far over as I can so you can see. I'm going to start right down here in this corner, and I'm going to work my way up this direction. Now, the only thing I would say is once you've committed to it, and you'll see how the stitches work in a second, once you've committed to it, do it all in the same direction, or make sure that it looks right when you do it. Don't go up that way and then down that way. You need to follow through and go up. It will make a massive difference to the finished look of your blanket and how professional it looks. So we are going to begin by grabbing these two here, and I'm going to join this seam. And this is why I think it's always a good idea to have your work underneath you or nearby, because then you can match it up and make sure that once you've joined something, you're like, yep, this is the right direction. But for me, so that you can see more easily, I'm going to shuffle all of this off camera so that it doesn't get in your way. Okay, so I'm going to bring those motifs back in a minute when we're ready for them. We're going to begin with these two here. Now I'm going to scoop in a bit closer for you so that you can see exactly what I'm up to. And as I say, I'm going to use a different coloured yarn so it stands out more for you. Okay, so I've zoomed in a bit so that you can see exactly what I'm up to here. And we're going to begin by finding this set of 3 stitches here on this corner, and we're going to slip our hook into the back loop of that first stitch there that we come across. And then similarly, we're going to find that stitch there of those 3, we're going to pop into the back loop of that one. So now we are looking all sorts of weird and wonderful. We have our hook through 2 loops here, and you're going to need your yarn here at the back. Your short tail is going to be underneath you, and we're going to yarn over and we're going to pull that through that first one there. And then the next part of the process is that we're going to find the back loop of the next stitch along on this one here, and we're going to pop the hook through, and then we're going to find the back loop of the corresponding stitch on the other motif and put the hook through there. Then we're going to yarn over rather, and we're going to pull through both of those and then also through the loop on our hook. And then we find the next back loop, we pop it through there, the next back loop of the other motif, yarn over and pull through absolutely everything that you have. We'll do a few more and then we'll pause to see what it looks like. We're going to go through the back loop there and then the back loop of your corresponding one. Yarn over and pull through everything. Now you see I'm not pulling tight at all on this, but I do still have hold of this short tail here. I don't think I need to necessarily, but it makes me feel better. It helps me with my tension, I think. Pull through everything. Now we're going to pop through there, pop through there, yarn over and pull through. Now if we just pause and have a look, we now have flat slip stitches sitting over the top, and we still have these bits poking out at the sides, which is part of the stitches of either of them, those motifs, and it literally just sits on top, and it's a lovely flat seam, but one that adds lots of lovely detail. So what we're now going to do is just carry on up, working in those back loops, making sure that you have the yarn, the working yarn lives behind. Now it feels very strange because it's kind of counterintuitive to how crochet normally is, but it works beautifully. Okay, so now we've come to the chain one of this motif here, and rather than join to this one at the moment, what we're going to do is we're going to find our next motif that we're going to slide into place, which is going to come here, and we're going to be working up in this direction before we then join this one in here. So for here we've popped into the back loop of that chain one already, and so we now need to find the chain one here of this corner. It can be any corner of these hexagons, and we're going to join there. Now don't pull too tight, keep these stitches nice and soft and gentle, and then you just start working along the edge of this one now, and you'll see that it is starting to look like it's meant to. So carry on up till this corner, and then we will add our next motif in together. Okay, so here we are ready to join our next motif in, and I would just place it before you do it to go, yeah, this is definitely the right one. And so pop into that chain one that we come to, and then find the corresponding chain one here. Always keep that yarn, the working yarn at the back here, and you might find when you join you might need to manipulate and hold all of the everything because it can be quite tricky to get it through on that first one there. And then off we go. We're going to work away along this angle now. Now we're ready to slot our final motif in of this section, and we'll carry on and we'll go up in this direction. So we'll have zigzagged all the way up the blanket here. So we find our chain one space and our chain one space here. Pop it through and then off we go. Now once we've got to the end, we are going to break our yarn, and then you will pull through and we have got a seam. Now the next thing to do then is to pop your next set of motifs there ready if they're not already sat there for you, and we are going to then join the next seam. And as I say, make sure you go in exactly the same direction because it will make it look much neater and much more professional if you do, because then your V's will all run in the same direction. So Go ahead and work all of your seams in this direction, and then come back to me and we'll fill in the little gaps together. So now we've joined these vertical lines here, we now need to fill in the gaps, as it were. We're going to join all of these other joints here, but we're going to have to do them separately, individually. Now, I found the best way of doing this, to make sure that again you go in the same direction for them, is to rotate your work so that it's working in the direction that you would like it to work in. And now the end ones are fairly straightforward because you're going to join and you're going to work until you get to the end. But I just wanted to show you one of these center ones because it can be a little bit fiddly figuring out where to go. But once you've figured it out, they're all really, really straightforward. So to join these little segments here, we are going to need to have your hook and the right side, hook above and right side facing, and you're going to pop into the back loop of that chain one, which is actually already attached in this part of the process. And then find the corresponding chain one in this one that we need. And then you're going to have your short tail here at the side. Now keep hold of that and pull your yarn through like that. And now it will seem really strange because it's working slightly differently to how we were before, but in terms of where your yarn is, but the principle is exactly the same. You're going to go into the back loop and the corresponding back loop, and then pull your yarn through from the back there and make your slip stitch. And so my yarn's sitting above the blanket, but it's coming from underneath. I tried it a few different ways and I found myself getting in a right old tangle if I had it anywhere else. So just work your way up until we meet where the next join already is. And then when you get to these last few, you're going to need to probably take your fingers out because there isn't room for them anymore. And you're just going to hold your tension here and pull them through. And then when we get to that last chain, I actually do work it in with that last one that we have. And then we're going to break our yarn and I pull it through, but then immediately get my hook and I will pull it through into the center of this join here. And it disappears under the back. And similarly then with this one, we're going to get your hook and you're going to pull it through just so that everything meets. Go through that join, pull it through, and they've disappeared down into the back. So you're going to need to do that for every single other join that there is there. And then when you've done that, then of course, oh, how lovely does that look in a different color there at the back. Then when you've done that, you're then going to need to weave in these ends at the back. So go ahead and get all of your motifs joined and then meet me back here and we'll be ready to put the borders on.